First things first, what is Speaking Puzzles? Speaking Puzzles is astrology-based consulting firm for the neurodivergent community, okay? What is neurodiversity? Neurodiversity is pretty much a diverse way of thinking. Anybody that has a diverse way of thinking or a diverse brain development, then they are considered neurodivergent, all right? So that means, to put it into perspective, well, if you are a part of the neurodivergent community, meaning you got ADHD, you got OCD, you got trauma, anything that caused your brain to be rewired, essentially that means your brain is now being developed differently, meaning your brain goes from A to point B, from point B to point one, to point one, to baseball mitt, back to point C. So in context, someone with a normal development, if you're neurodivergent, you could be learning college level information when you're in elementary. And when you're in middle school, you're learning advanced college stuff. But then by the time you get to college, when everybody else is developed where you are, you got to now go backwards to learning shit that you should have learned in elementary, because that's how your brain is developed. So that makes you neurodiverse. So I found that fascinating, and especially in our community, we don't know a lot about these. We just knew these to be labels, and we didn't like what the label made us feel, because it's been, subjected to make us feel lower than, you know what I'm saying? But when we really get into the research, and you don't research it unless you have a reason to, that's why this community is developed. But when you get into research of, what ADHD is, you start realizing like, oh, this isn't just some kid thing. This is affecting how you develop early in life. So like stuff that you're dealing with as a kid, it doesn't get better. It just progressively gets worse. So now as an adult, when you're trying to function in normal society, it's not made for the way that you think. So we got to start understanding that, we got to go back to when we were kids and, pretty much unlearn everything we were taught and start learning what's best for us. No different than people in autism. They all have a voice. They all know how to communicate. Some would even say that they're geniuses, which I'm one of those people. I would say that they're geniuses. However, they do definitely have developmental disorders, and they're at a disadvantage, not because they lack anything, but because the people that they're working with lack things. They lack knowledge. They lack knowledge how to communicate with someone who can't use words, who has more of advanced communication. If you need to use sign language, how many of us know sign language? When I was growing up, there used to be a class. It used to be you had to have a little intro to sign language growing up in our schools. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's at a disadvantage. Why aren't we learning basic sign language skills in school? It's helpful. It's helpful to be able to communicate to any and all people using just basic symbols with your hands. We got away from those type of advanced communications. We started focusing more on speech, and not everybody knows how to communicate what they're feeling. But like, if you got signs, people understand your body language a lot quicker than people understand the words coming out of your mouth. You could say that you're happy, but your body language says that you say it. Or you're angry and pissed, but you're telling somebody, nah, I'm fine, I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? So learning body language is very important. And, like I said, there's definitely advanced forms of communication that the neurodivergent community definitely excel at better than traditional forms. And what I'm here to do is to teach the public that newer forms. And mine was astrology, because it's like codes. Remember when we were growing up, they used to have a lot of comic books with codes and you could decode things. I was really good at cryptography. Like, if there was hidden messages and things, I was always deep diving. I always wanted to know. I remember those comic books or those type of novels where you could read one thing and then it would say, if you want to continue this story, you got to skip to page 86 and boom, boom. Like books like those and like the Bible, like that's how you read the Bible. Those are fascinating to me because it took a certain amount of knowledge and a certain key that you had to discover in order to unlock that knowledge. And if you wasn't willing to put in the work, you wasn't going to learn. Well, that's how I feel about astrology. But I learned to use astrology to help me communicate better with the neurodivergent community. I don't know many people know, but I have a son. He's nonverbal. He's 15. He's a wonderful kid. Like I said, he's a genius. If I'm being real honest, he's an asshole as well. Like a full-fledged asshole. I have no idea where he gets it from. Probably his mother or his little brothers. Couldn't be me, but whatever. But trying to parent someone with autism when you have ADHD as well, it's wild out here. Okay. It's just how our brains work. We're similar, but yeah, we're definitely different. He needs order. I need order. I despise order. He actually appreciates it. We had to learn the balance in there. I realized like a lot of his issues came from hypersensitivity, which is also another type of neurodivergency, where all your senses are intensified times 10. So like imagine hearing nails on a chalkboard, my son, when he used to go into Walmart and they would have those fluorescent lights buzzing, it's bzzz, and you could hear it times 10. And I had to discover this because he would freak out whenever we had to take him to the store. He would just freak out. And I had to be observant. I had to learn his body language. Like, you were cool all day. We were gonna hear what's going on. So, once I learned that, I'm like, okay, maybe your eyes is sensitive, maybe the sound. And, once he got used to it, it was better. But like for the most part, we kept them headphones. Okay, them headphones came in handy. His sense of touch, like he likes rugs in the bathroom when he's in there because he don't like his feet to be cold. Granted, he should wear socks, but he wants a rug. So highly sensitive, like cold, warmth. Like he has snack vision times, 20/20 snack vision. He will remember, okay? You think I've hid stuff? He waited a whole year to go search the same hiding spot. Like he's wild. He'll remember what he wants to. But yeah, like if you don't have that routine, he'll fight that routine. But like once he gets in that routine, he'll know, and that becomes his bread and butter. The older he got, I had to realize like you can't do childish things anymore. Like drop him off at, he's old enough to now to be like, Dad, where are you dropping me off at? You can't just drop me off at camp. You can't just, you didn't give me no prep time, no warning time. I don't know these people. Nah, you can't do that like you did with kids anymore, man. Like they're too smart. So you gotta start explaining yourself. And sometimes you forget to do that when your kid is nonverbal. You forget that, they can still hear, they can still comprehend, they can still understand you. And a lot of times, because they're not talking, we forget they in the room, or we forget like, we got to explain things. We can't just drop them off because they like, hey, I got feelings. I'm afraid. I don't know these people. How would you feel if you were being dropped off in an area you had no idea, no one explained nothing to you, and you in a room full of strangers? Like, so there's little bitty things like that why this channel I feel is necessary. And going forth, we'll be able to, address more issues, more definitions, be able to define these labels and see what they actually mean and, you know, demystify them, you know, and bring them into practical solutions. You know what I'm saying? We'll be able to build a community. You know, that's my goal for this, is to be able to build a community to where wherever, if you have anybody in the neurodivergent community, and, you know, let's say you go on vacation, you're in Houston, you know, we got a community, we'll be able to log on, we'll be able to identify our community, and, you know, we'll be able to go places where, you know, it's community friendly. We got a whole community, you know what I'm saying? We'll be able to contact with each other and get practical solutions. You know, we don't have to just listen to the doctor, because they don't know what they're talking about most of the time. Like, you might think they know, but this is still new to us. Especially over here in the Western society, autism is just, it's still too new. So, you know, they might have suggestions, but you're never going to really know what to do unless you're with them. You know what I'm saying? Unless you've experienced this. And, you know, to have a community of parents that can talk and do this, you know, that's the goal. That's the purpose. Building that community, because we need it. You'd be surprised how many people are going through what you're going through. And I know, like, when you get a child, especially with autism and all, you develop a form of PTSD and isolation, because you don't really understand your child. You know, they're freaking out. You don't know why they're freaking out. You know, you ain't got a lot of people that can watch them, because you know them, but you ain't got the time to explain what they need to know. They're fearful. It's a lot of chaos and confusion. And if we just had a team full of people that know what we're going through, that we can talk, communicate, build relationship with, you know, these kids are going to grow like the geniuses they deserve to be. You know what I'm saying? So that's speaking puzzles, and, you know, any form of communication, anything, you know, we're here to explore. And like I said, I've learned to be able to crack the code. I went to school for astrology. I've learned the ways to be able to understand these mystical human beings, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, understand them in practical ways. And like I said, that's what this entire episode is about. So without further ado, I'm gonna go take a break for a second, you know, and we're gonna come back here with intro to astrology, on how astrology can be used in this community. Okay,